Across 3 American states, politicians were uneasy. Police whispers spread quietly. Something big was about to happen. Before we begin, subscribe for more in-depth stories like this. Inside a modest second-floor office in East Harlem, 3 men sat calmly, finishing the day's business. There were no armed guards. No visible weapons. No sense of danger. Joseph Perano and Gaspare Polero spoke softly nearby. The third man, older, experienced, powerful, listened in silence. Then the door exploded open. 2 men rushed in, pistols already raised. Gunfire shattered the room. More than a dozen shots echoed in seconds. Perano was hit repeatedly. Bleeding and panicked, he staggered toward a window and leapt, falling over 20 feet to the ground below. He died almost instantly. Polero was shot but conscious, dragging himself across the floor in desperation. The main target was hit in the head and torso. He stumbled into the next room, choking on blood, collapsing before help could ever arrive. By the time the noise faded, Giuseppe Joe Morello was dead. The man who built America's first mafia family. The man who turned extortion into a system, counterfeiting into a business, and murder into policy. This is the story of how a boy born with a deformed hand in Sicily created the blueprint for organized crime in America, and how that same system eventually consumed him. On May 2, 1867, in the mountain town of Corleone, Sicily, Angelina Piazza Morello gave birth to a son. His name was Giuseppe. But when the midwife examined him, the room fell quiet. His right hand was malformed, fingers twisted inward, fused like a claw. In 19th century Sicily, deformity wasn't just physical. It was symbolic. People whispered about curses, fate, and divine punishment. From the moment he was born, Giuseppe was marked. His father died when he was 5. No record explains how disease, accident, or violence were all common in rural Sicily. Angelina remarried quickly. Her new husband, Bernardo Terranova, was connected to the Corleone Mafia. It was a practical decision. Protection. Survival. Status. And for young Giuseppe, it was an education. Corleone wasn't governed by Rome. It was governed by respect, fear, and reputation. People didn't go to courts, they went to mafia men. Disputes were settled privately. Debts enforced quietly. Violence used strategically, never emotionally. Giuseppe watched everything. He learned that power wasn't loud. It was efficient. His stepfather and uncle were deeply involved in mafia affairs. By his early 20s, Giuseppe was already trusted, quiet, intelligent, and dangerous. He married Maria Rosa Marcalisi in 1889. They had 2 children, though only one survived infancy. Around this time, Giuseppe entered counterfeiting. Fake currency was difficult to detect, enforcement was weak, and profits were enormous. But someone talked. Police began investigating. A murder followed, possibly to silence a witness. In 1892, Giuseppe made a decision that would change history. He fled to America. In Sicily, Giuseppe was sentenced in absentia to over 6 years in prison. He could never return. America was now his only future. He arrived in New York the same year, crowded steerage ships, disease, hunger, uncertainty. His family followed soon after. They settled in the Lower East Side, packed tenements, pushcarts, noise, desperation. Giuseppe saw opportunity where others saw chaos. By 1897, he moved to East Harlem and founded what became known as the 107th Street Mob. He didn't invent extortion. He perfected it. The system was simple. A shop owner would receive a polite visit. Then a letter, often marked with a black hand. Pay weekly, and nothing happens. Refuse, and disasters follow. Broken windows. Fires. Assaults. Kidnappings. Most paid. Those who didn't learn quickly. Giuseppe turned fear into a predictable income stream. By 1902, he owned a saloon on Prince Street, his headquarters. There, he met a man who would become his enforcer and brother-in-law. Ignazio Lupo was brutal even by criminal standards. Born in Palermo, he fled to New York after killing a man. He dismembered victims, stuffed bodies into barrels, dumped them publicly. Terror was the message. When Lupo married Giuseppe's half-sister, the alliance was sealed. East Harlem and Little Italy were united. Together, they ruled New York's Italian underworld. In 1903, a barrel appeared on a Manhattan sidewalk. Inside were human remains. The press went wild. Police arrested Giuseppe and Lupo, but witnesses vanished. Evidence disappeared. No convictions. Fear had done its job. Giuseppe expanded his counterfeiting operations, laundering money through a fake real estate cooperative. Immigrants invested. Buildings were bought. Mortgages piled up. When it collapsed, Giuseppe walked away wealthy. By 1909, he was the most powerful Italian crime boss in America. But federal agents were patient. That year, a raid uncovered printing plates, fake currency, and undeniable proof. Giuseppe and Lupo were arrested. In 1910, Giuseppe was sentenced to 25 years. He was 42. Prison was humiliation, but he survived. Outside, younger men rose. His brother Niccolo took over and was murdered. Rivals gained power. When Giuseppe was paroled in 1920, the world had changed. Salvatore d'Aquila had declared himself boss of bosses. Giuseppe was no longer welcome. Forced into the background, Giuseppe became an advisor. Men like Joe Morello rose instead, violent, ambitious, fearless. The Mafia entered the Prohibition era. Money poured in. But war followed. By 1930, New York was bleeding. Allies were murdered. Crews defected. Giuseppe was old, but still symbolic. That made him dangerous. August 15, 1930. Giuseppe returned to his office to collect cash. No guards. No weapons. Routine. The door burst open. Gunfire. The first American Mafia boss died choking on his own blood. No arrests were ever made. The war continued. Morello was betrayed. Maranzano was murdered. Lucky Luciano reorganized the Mafia into 5 families. The structure Giuseppe created survived him. The Genovese family still exists today. His methods, extortion, laundering, strategic violence, became standard. Giuseppe Morello didn't just commit crimes. He built a system. And systems outlive men. Tourists walk past East Harlem unaware that America's Mafia began there. A man with a deformed hand from Corleone changed New York forever. He didn't die peacefully. He died the only way his world allowed. Betrayed. Outmaneuvered. Executed. Because in the empire he created, power is never permanent. It's only borrowed. Until someone comes to collect it.